Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to another Supatease video. And Blizzard has just made a major change, not even just 2 days before the Midnight expansion is going to launch. And that is that many healer spells are no longer going to be a secret aura on the Midnight launch. And if you don't understand what that means, what a secret aura is, basically Blizzard has hidden a bunch of data inside of these boxes, which I guess they're calling auras now. So they put all the class spells into these boxes, they put boss mechanics into these boxes. And the point of these boxes is to shield them from add-ons accessing them and then producing some type of result that is unintended, where the game is basically playing it for you. And that was the main selling point of the expansion, was the removal of add-ons, which is just going to be limiting their view of this so they can't interact with the game. But now add-ons will be able to view at least some healer spells. So in today's video, we're going to review every spell that's going to be revealed and the possible implications of this. Is it a danger? Is it just a pro? Is it a win overall? I think that this is important after reviewing it myself with a little bit more time. And as always, if you want to make sure that you're staying up to date with news related to World of Warcraft, educational and entertaining content, then smash that subscribe button. Your support is greatly appreciated. So let's get started here. They've obviously announced that there is going to be healer spells that will no longer be missing. So despite some recent hotfixes to healer buff sorting, the lack of raid frame customization by Blizzard has led to significant frustration amongst healers. Healers accurately assess the healing battlefield by relying on quick identification of critical buffs and debuffs. Most are finding that task difficult in the current state of add-on lockdown. And I think I've seen healers be the most critical so far across the board. This is mostly focusing on raiding, I believe, and likely Mythic Plus, but even in PvP, right? So if we have the basic raid frame UI, you'll see that they've added like a defensive icon in the middle of it. It's a giant brick whenever it's up, and that blocks part of the debuffs. It blocks part of the buffs. You can't like pick the order that the buffs show up on the frame. So if you wanted to know if Lifebloom was on a target, like a Resto Druid, it might just not show up sometimes because there's so many other buffs that are on the target, or debuffs as well. Like, what's the important thing that I need to dispel? It might be getting masked. So it seems like that element of the UI, at least baseline, is not ready for shipping, and they realize that that's going to be a big problem, and that needs to be available. So they're going to let add-ons be able to see that type of information. But I'm curious to see if it's anything deeper than that, if it's just going to be based on buffs and debuffs, or is it going to be based on cooldowns? Because I know in PvP situations, or just situations where you're not as coordinated, you're not in voice, right? Knowing if a DPS has a defensive available to activate versus not, this type of information, a lot of people are very concerned about not being available. Their Resto Shaman writer Herix has been trying to resurrect some of the raid frame customization lost by healers since the Midnight pre-patch. We previously highlighted some of the workaround solutions as well as the first incarnation of his add-on, but the latest version has since been patched out of the game, as referenced in the response below. So below is a screen post from Blizzard on the WoW UI Discord about their plans for buff filtering in the near future, including whitelisting certain spells at Midnight launch until a full system that allows players to hide or emphasize buffs directly via the spellbook arrives later. Okay, so this is a temporary fix. This is meant as a temporary fix. This does not mean that they are completely rewinding their view on add-ons. I saw a lot of people on social media that were like, just reverse course, just change everything back. This makes it sound like that is not the case, that this is just a very temporary fill-in while they continue to work on it. So via their UI Discord, hello again from Blizzard. Today we have an update regarding which spells we are going to be flagging as non-secret for Midnight launch. These changes are planned to go out in a data hotfix in the next couple of days, but we wanted to give you all a heads up beforehand so you can plan any necessary changes to your add-ons. And obviously with the expansion release, you want to prep, you want to know what add-ons to get, you want to know leveling routes, best enchant, stuff like that. So this is important to get up to date on right before it comes out. Over the course of beta, as well as recent weeks on live, one of the biggest recurring points of feedback has been from healers who wish that our default UI provided more robust options for filtering or emphasizing specific buffs on raid frames. In the past month, we have added a few layers of extra logic to buff sorting and visibility, and while we've heard positive feedback from many healers about these improvements, we realize that our solutions are leaving others still wanting more customization. I also want to note that I feel like this is really good communication. You know, realizing like, okay, this isn't delivering the experience that you want. It's not just you're just being picky and we're just going to leave it like that. It's a very much so a work in progress, which means that things should only get better from this point. It's like, okay, it's a little rough, temporary fix with the add-ons, but things should get better with this type of feedback, iteration, in my opinion. While we had originally hoped to be able to deliver a streamlined default experience, it has become clear that there are common use cases that a single set of logic cannot cover. Some players may want to make simple tweaks like highlighting the target of their Preservation Evoker's Echo or their Holy Paladin's Active Beacon, while others would consider that to be distracting clutter. We are now beginning work on a system to allow players to hide or emphasize buffs from their spellcasts on a per-spell basis via the spellbook. We expect that solution to be ready for players in a later midnight patch. In the meantime, we have also seen a few add-ons popping up that use non-secret information to make very reliable guesses about player spellcasts in order to drive this sort of filtering logic. Breaking the API calls driving this functionality would cause significant collateral damage to common add-ons, and we are not planning to go down that path. Ultimately, this design space is mostly about customizing the display of information rather than objectively advantageous computational solutions. So we want to treat it the same way we approached resources like Holy Power or Maelstrom. Thus, rather than requiring add-on developers to jump through hoops to support an implementation that will have some frustrating inaccuracies, we are planning to flag a number of short cooldowns, rotational healer spells, okay, so short cooldowns, and rotational healer spells, and very long duration buffs. To exclude them from our secret value system, we will likely re-protect these spells once our own filtering solution with its own add-on hooks for display customization is in place. So this is the full list. So for evokers, you are going to be able to kind of track and customize with add-ons, Dream Breath, Dream Flight, Echo Reversion, Lifebind, and Echo Dream Breath. So just mostly heal over time effects, focused at the frame so you can more clearly see everything that you want to be able to see. I don't think that's going to give you a huge play advantage. You know, I was worried here that it was going to be like cooldowns, Emerald Communion, Rewind, things like that, because if they did do that, that means that Omnibar style add-ons would be able to pull that and you'd see when they have the cooldown available. I was worried about that. So Evoker doesn't seem like there's going to be any issue with this. It's just going to be you can download an add-on to improve your visual experience as a healer. So for Evoker, just overall, I think this is a good temporary fix. For Augmentation Evoker, they count you as a healer, I guess. They're going to include Blistering Scales, Ebon Might, Prescience, Inferno's Blessing, Symbiotic Blooms, and Shifting Sands. Again, there's nothing major in there that will make a difference at all as far as gameplay other than just making your experience better. For Restoration Druid, they have Rejuvenation, Regrowth, Life Bloom, Wild Growth, and Germination. This is perfect. I see absolutely no problem with this so far other than it's just going to be great for healers to be able to manage their buffs, their buff zones. For Disc Priest, we have Powered Shield, Atonement, and Void Shield. Again, nothing in there is going to be major or game-breaking. For Holy Priest, they have Renew, Prayer of Mending, Echo of Light. Nothing game-breaking once again. For Mistweaver Monk, Soothing Mist, Renewing Mist, Enveloping Mist, Aspect of Harmony, nothing major game-breaking as far as like, oh my god, the cooldowns are unwinding and the sky is falling type of deal. For Restoration Shaman, Earth Shield, and Riptide, again, they've updated the baseline UI so you can see enemy Earth Shields on the target. So that's the only thing like here that could be significant is that you'd be able to see the Earthship, but you can already see it with the default UI anyways. So it's not like some new iterated add-on is going to make that. It would be different if they had like Astral Shift or something like that for Restoration Shaman. So there's no issue there whatsoever. For Holy Paladin, Beacon of Light, Eternal Flame, Beacon of Faith, Beacon of Savior, nothing in there that's going to be remotely damaging to gameplay other than just helping the person who plays that with an add-on to be able to make their UI look the way that they want it to. For long-term raid buffs, Arcane Intellect, Battle Shout, Powered Fortitude, Source of Magic, Sky Fury, Symbiotic Relationship. Again, nothing major in there. They already show that information default UI anyways, so an add-on getting access wouldn't matter other than you could move it, I guess. Maybe you'd be able to move it from you didn't want it on like their character frame, you wanted it somewhere else, you'd be able to move it, but I don't think there's anything major there. Blessing of the Bronze Auras. So just, again, nothing major here, just auras, long-term and self-buffs, the Rite of Sanctification and the Rite of Adjuration. Those are just weapon enchants. There's nothing there that matters. For rogues, for Deadly Poison, Wound Poison, Crippling Poison. Okay, so maybe this would help you move them. Would this be debuffs or only buffs? Like an enemy Deadly Poison? I assume it would be both, because if it's not secret anymore, you'd be able to see both. So you could move that around in the frame if it's cluttering too much of the debuff section. So you wanted to see like the silence poison on a hunter, but if they don't show the silence poison, then you wouldn't be able to do that. For shamans, Wind Fury, Flame Tongue, Earth Living, Tide Caller, there's nothing insane here. Mage Icicles, Tip the Spear. I mean, if you're tracking the enemy Tip the Spear, I mean, it really doesn't matter, right? It's not going to provide you a huge combat emphasis. Now, this one could be a little bit. This is the first one I've seen a little bit. Hellstone. Being able to know if the Warlock has a Hellstone or not, if they used a charge of it. I mean, could be useful. Again, it seems a little bit overkill, but that's the only thing I've seen so far that is like going to be any sort of like major gameplay distinction. To me, this is just them accepting like, hey, this isn't 100% ready to launch, and we're acknowledging your feedback about a certain feature. This is the best way we can deal with it right now. We are still going to be working on it, and we're listening to you, and it's going to be improved moving into the future. So I feel like this is fine. I'm not too worried about this. I feel like this is fine. I was, when you read this initially, you're like, oh my god, this is over, bro. There's just gonna be Omnibar, Omni CD, Weak Auras is coming back or something, but no, I really don't. I think honestly, if you're just a healer, you're just pretty happy because you'll be able to get an add-on. Which add-on? I'm gonna have to find out because I kind of want to get it too, so that I can track my buffs a little bit better. I honestly wish that they could allowed you to move the defensive icon in the raid frame. It shows up in the middle of it. If I could just move that to the side so I could just see the whole health bar, so I know how high the health is. I want that more than anything. Just let me move the box to the left, like have it like, okay, you can choose it in the center, right, or left, and then it goes to the center, right, or left. Something like that would be really nice. That would open up a lot of space, at least, on the raid frame. But I think this is fair, and so far, everything. I mean, it might be a little shaky, given how much they're trying to do all at once. But I think they're going to be able to deliver on this as things move on. And I think that this was the right decision based on the feedback that I've seen from healers, and it goes in a way that shouldn't be disruptive whatsoever as far as like mass add-ons returning that play the game for you or something like that. So I hope you guys enjoyed the update and my thoughts on it. Thank you guys very much for watching the video, and I will see you in the next one.